This is my second video on why academia sucks, and this is about the teaching style used in academia. Let me start with a short personal anecdote. So many years ago, I took a mandatory university course on probability theory. The textbook was short, it cost a fortune, it was written before I was born, and it had almost no illustrations. The professor was an elderly man who had given the course a million times before, and he basically just read from the book. All the examples he gave were about black and red balls put into an urn. Now, I was 18 years old, I had signed up for studying computer science, and 2/3 of our courses in the first year were abstract mathematics, and one of them was probability theory. I could not envision any situation in my life where I would have black and red balls in an urn. I was 18 years old and I frequently had a problem with blue balls, but of course academia doesn't teach you any practical skills, so I had to learn to solve that by myself. The course on probability theory, like so many other courses, was boring and abstract, and this course in particular, I only barely passed it. Nowadays, I often watch lectures on YouTube, but even today, the professors from the elite universities of the world, such as MIT, Stanford, Harvard, Oxford, and so on, most of them suck at teaching. Occasionally, there is one who is outstanding, but that is very rare. The fundamental problem is the teaching style they use in academia, and that it has never really changed. Typically, you have a professor giving a long, abstract monologue, and after that, you will have forgotten most of what he said, and the rest of which you will have no idea how to use that in the real world. The only change in the teaching style is probably that they don't give the lecture in Latin anymore, although I'm not sure that even matters, because you would understand just as little. Here is what I propose for a modern teaching style. First of all lectures in a course should be put on YouTube so the entire world can see them. Even if you're teaching a very small course on an obscure topic, then you should still put the lecture on YouTube. Personally, I would reuse existing lectures both from myself and from others, and I would only record new lectures when that was necessary. If somebody else has made an outstanding lecture on some topic that you want to include in your course, then there's no need for you to record that lecture again. You should focus your energy on making an outstanding lecture on some other topic and put that on YouTube so others can use that. In that way, you could build an entire course with different lectures from different professors, and then the students would watch those lectures as part of their homework, so that when they get to the classroom, you can devote the time for project work for solving real-world problems. Students should also be encouraged to help each other as much as possible, because teaching others is a great way to learn. Now, the teaching materials should also be modernized. And I think that my online course on TensorFlow is a good example of how to do this. So each lecture is based on a kind of an interactive text and a video lecture on YouTube. And this was inspired by some of the good lectures from the Python conference. What you see here is the first lecture, and this is kind of like an interactive book where you have text that explains whatever it is I want to explain, and then it is interleaved with computer code that the student can run, modify, run again, and then the video on YouTube is basically me going through all of this, explaining what it is doing. And the great thing is that then the student can sit comfortably in their own home, they can pause the video, they can try things in this interactive notebook here, and then when they are ready and understand what I'm talking about, they can continue watching the video. I find this teaching style extremely good. And like I said, it's not my invention. I was inspired by lectures from the Python conference. The problem is that this is very time-consuming to make. My entire TensorFlow course probably took me a year to research and produce. And I only made about $2,500 in donations from it. So imagine this, a year's salary of $2,500. Now, of course, this course took me a long time to do because at the time I made it, there wasn't any good material out there, and that's why I made it. So it took me a long time to learn how to do these things. Now, it is a lot easier to learn TensorFlow because there's a lot of material out there, and I'd like to believe that my course helped others understand TensorFlow so that they could make even better teaching material, and that has helped this whole field flourish. But you're not gonna find a lot of people who will spend a long time making almost no money on making teaching material online. So free teaching material should be made by academia, where the professors are paid to teach. Oh, I should say that many professors also learn TensorFlow and deep learning and reinforcement learning from my course. Now, I believe that online courses can replace many university courses in the future, and I think many universities can be replaced by online universities in the future, provided that the lectures and the teaching material is of high quality and it is so advanced that the students can pass exams at normal university levels. Furthermore, there must be a reliable way of identifying a student so they cannot cheat on their online test, so that companies can trust the exam scores. But this would mean that a student in Timbuktu or Honolulu or some other place with a weird name could take an online course or indeed an entire online education for a fairly small amount of money, and that education could very well be much better than most universities in the world, and then they could get a job based on that. Of course, some fields still need old-fashioned teaching. One example would be medicine, because you need a cadaver for that. So not all university courses can be replaced, but I still believe that many academic fields could benefit greatly from reforming their teaching style.